Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Global. We'll get you top stories from India and the region. I'm Tanvita Nija. And for news from the rest of the world, I'm joined by my colleague in London, John Beaver.
Thanks, Tanvi. Coming up, ties between North Korea and Russia deepen, the war in Ukraine intensifies, and the White House dismisses impeachment plans. But first, the headlines.
Death toll in Libya crosses 7,000, and thousands still remain missing after the devastating floods. Southern Indian state of Kerala shuts schools, banks to curb the deadly Nipah virus. Samples of fluid from bats and fruit trees gathered. And rain delays Sri Lanka versus Pakistan semi-final clash of the Asia Cup. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has laid the foundation stone for projects worth $507 billion in the central Indian state of Madhya Pradesh. The Prime Minister held a mega road show in the Bina district and was accompanied by the Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, Shivraj Singh Chauhan. There are 10 new upcoming industrial projects apart from the petrochemical complex at the Bina refinery.
MP के 10 नए इंडस्ट्रियल प्रोजेक्ट पर भी काम शुरू किया गया है। नर्मदापुरम में रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी से जुड़ी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग जोन हो, इंदौर में 2 नए आईटी पार्क्स हो, रतलाम में मेगा इंडस्ट्रियल पार्क हो, ये सभी मध्य प्रदेश की औद्योगिक ताकत को और ज्यादा बढ़ाएंगे। और जब मध्य प्रदेश की औद्योगिक ताकत बढ़ेगी तो इसका लाभ सबको होने वाला है।
The Indian Prime Minister also inspected the model of petrochemical complex at the Bina refinery in the central Indian state of Madhya Pradesh earlier today. On to south of India now. The southern Indian state of Kerala is on high alert following an outbreak of the rare and deadly Nipah virus, which has killed 2 people so far. A 24-year-old healthcare worker at a private hospital in Kerala's Kozhikode district tested positive for Nipah virus on Wednesday, making the total confirmed cases in the state to 5. The number of persons who came into contact with those infected by the virus has risen to 789 as contact tracing has been intensified. Authorities have declared containment zones in the 9 villages of the Kozhikode district, closing down schools, banks and other institutions. All public programs that attract gatherings are banned for 10 days in Kozhikode district of Kerala. So as the high vigil continues in Kozhikode due to the emergence of Nipah cases, a 5-member central team reached there to assess the situation. They held a preliminary meeting with the officials. Kerala's health minister said that the government has started contact tracing and 77 people are in the high-risk category. Also, 153 health workers are in low-risk category.
77 are in high risk and 153 are health workers, and those who are in high risk category, they are requested to remain in their houses, and if they have any symptoms they are asked to contact the call center or the control room, and the control room will direct them to the medical college. So ambulance facility is also arranged.
Kerala has strengthened measures to prevent the spread of the Nipah infection. The government has formed 19 committees to monitor the outbreak of the Nipah virus in the state.
We have formulated 19 core committees. They will present the details, like the surveillance committee will be presenting how many contacts they have identified so far, high risk, how many high risk persons, how many health workers, how many from household community, like that. And also we have these 19 groups includes team for mental support and also for patient transportation, etc.
Staying with the region, India has demanded a thorough investigation into the death of an Indian origin student, Janvi Kandula, in the United States. Janvi was hit and killed by a police vehicle in Seattle in January this year. Social media posts with the hashtag Justice for Janvi have become viral after the emergence of a purported body cam video which shows a police officer joking about her death after she was hit by a speeding police car. Meanwhile, the Consulate General of India in San Francisco said that the recent reports of Janvi Kandula's death in the media are deeply troubling. The consulate has said that it will continue to closely follow up the matter with concerned authorities for a thorough investigation and action against those involved in this tragic case. The consulate and embassy will continue to closely follow up on this matter with concerned authorities, it said. Still with India, operations against terrorists have resumed in India's northernmost state of Jammu and Kashmir by the Indian Army and the Jammu and Kashmir Police. 3 Indian officials have been killed in a gunfight with terrorists on Wednesday. The Kashmir Police in Kashmir's Anantnag district has encircled 2 terrorists, including Uzair Khan from Lashkar-e-Taiba. Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha expressed his grief over the death of Colonel Manpreet Singh, Major Ashish Dhonak and Deputy Superintendent of Police Humayun Bhatt. Next updates from India's G20 presidency. The exhibition Roots and Roots by the Ministry of Culture is open for visitors in India's national capital. It shows India's civilizational heritage, ethos and its interconnectedness with the world. It traces cultural marvels through Indian sagas based on archaeological artifacts, literature, numismatics, epigraphy and paintings. The exposition engaged G20 priorities, the essential tenets of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the core values of which are supremely universal. Remember, India's Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam was the theme of India's G20 presidency, meaning one world, one family, one future. Now, the delegates attending the 4th G20 Sustainable Finance Working Group meeting visited the world-famous Ganga Ghat and witnessed the Ganga Aarti of Kashi on a cruise on Wednesday evening in the northern Indian city of Varanasi. The members of the delegation praised Kashi and described the financial meeting a success.
We were very impressed by Varanasi because we were on a boat on the Ganj at night, so we could see all the people like doing the prayers of the evening, and it was impressive. Let's put it this way. Beautiful and impressive.
Very happy to be in this holy and one of the oldest city of India, so it's really a pleasure.
The experience was really amazing. We had like a night cruise with Indian snacks and the weather was very nice.
We visited the Ganga River in a cruise, and it was really a spiritual and relaxing experience. We heard all about the city and its origins and all the rituals you have. So thank you there for the Indian presidency for their hospitality and for having us.
Moving on now, Russia-North Korea summit is over, but the deepening cooperation between Moscow and Pyongyang is sending their rivals a warning. My colleague John Beaver is in London. He gives us more on this and other stories making headlines around the world. John, over to you.
North Korea's Kim Jong-un has invited Vladimir Putin for a state visit. The US and its allies have raised concerns over deepening military ties between Moscow and Pyongyang.
In a highly scrutinized visit, North Korea's Kim Jong-un is continuing his stay in Russia. with talks focused on a suspected arms deal. Russian President Vladimir Putin has accepted the invitation to visit North Korea, marking a significant development in their bilateral relations. The two leaders held discussions at the Vostochny Space Center, where they affirmed their commitment to bolstering strategic and tactical cooperation. Issues discussed included military affairs, the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, and the possibility of Russian assistance for North Korea's satellite program. Kim and Putin's flourishing friendship has raised several eyebrows in the United States and its allies. The White House has already issued a stern warning saying they won't hesitate to impose more sanctions on both Russia and North Korea if a new arms deal comes through.
We have taken a number of actions already to sanction entities that have brokered arms sales between North Korea and Russia, and we won't hesitate to impose additional actions if appropriate.
South Korea, too, has voiced concerns about the deepening military ties between Pyongyang and Moscow.
For the detailed results of the North Korea-Russia summit, I will have to obtain further information. But I can't help but worry deeply about military cooperation and arms trade.
Residents of Vladivostok have mixed opinions about the growing bonhomie between the two nations.
He's a very eccentric person. He draws attention. So maybe something good come out of this cooperation and partnership.
To be honest, I don't expect any good out of it.
As the diplomatic rendezvous between North Korea and Russia continues to garner international attention, Kim Jong-un is set to visit military and civilian aviation factories in the Far Eastern region, where he will inspect Russia's Pacific Fleet. Bureau Report, DD India.
The war between Russia and Ukraine continues, with both countries launching fresh drone attacks. Ukraine's biggest attack on Russia targeted the headquarters of the Black Sea Fleet in Crimea, damaging 2 naval ships, while the Russian Defense Ministry has claimed to have shot down 37 Ukrainian drones. Both countries claim that no injuries or significant damage was caused. US President Joe Biden says Republicans want to impeach him because they want to shut down the government. Earlier, the White House denounced Republican plans to launch an impeachment inquiry against President Biden, calling the effort baseless.
You see Republicans in Congress, right? They have spent all year investigating the president. That's what they've spent all year doing, and have turned up with no evidence, none, that he did anything wrong. That's why I just called it baseless, because they have said themselves that there is no evidence. The evidence does not exist, and this is a political stunt.
A federal judge in Texas has rejected the Biden administration's latest program offering deportation relief and work permits to immigrants brought to the country illegally. The decision by US District Court Judge Andrew Hannon is the latest setback to the program, called Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. The US Department of Homeland Security can continue to renew the status of those enrolled in the program. Despite an uncertain future in the United States, migrants from Mexico continue to attempt to cross the Rio Grande in Texas. Earlier, to block migrants from illegally crossing the US-Mexico river border, a US appeals court granted a temporary stay, allowing Texas to keep in place floating buoys installed in the middle of the river. Texas was ordered to move them, which was seen as a tentative win for US President Joe Biden, whose administration sued the state, which meant Texas border operations came under increased scrutiny in July. The Mediterranean's Lampedusa island is where people seeking asylum and looking to keep moving north are arriving. Italy transferred hundreds of migrants to Sicily from the island as the country struggles to cope with an unprecedented number of migrants arriving by sea from North Africa. As per reports by the Italian Red Cross, the island's reception centre had over 6,000 people on Wednesday. The figure is almost double of what was recorded in the same period of 2022. More than 7,000 people have lost their lives, while 10,000 people are still missing due to heavy flooding that caused massive devastation across Libya. Rescue operation teams are facing tough challenges, while international organisations are racing against time to send aid to Libya.
As far as the eye can see, flood waters in Libya, the aftermath of Storm Daniel, which lashed the North African country and left thousands dead and missing. This is the city of Derna, which bore the brunt of the cyclone. Cars upturned, buildings damaged, the empty streets of the impact zone. The numbers of those who lost their lives shown here. Authorities burying the dead in mass graves. Local authorities continue to carry out cleanup work as countries and global organizations ramp up relief efforts. The United Nations has urged leaders in the country to rise above political differences and ensure access to aid.
I call on all Libyan political actors to overcome deadlocks and divisions and to act collectively in ensuring access to relief.
Volunteers are working round the clock to distribute food and other essentials to the survivors living in camps. International aid continues to pour in. Medical personnel from Turkey have arrived to set up field hospitals, while Germany and Egypt have sent their aids. From the sky, the true impact of the storm can be seen. The day before, a picture of normality with cars on the streets, buildings, trees and soccer pitches. After the storm, a picture of disaster. A city of mud and havoc, the wreckage of Storm Daniel.
After the devastating floods, one Libyan representative in New Delhi said the country needs rescue teams and earth-moving equipment to help rescue people who are trapped under the debris. Our correspondent Akshay Dongari spoke exclusively to the Libyan representative in New Delhi on the situation on the ground.
Sir, it's a very difficult time, but what is the update of the situation in Libya?
We all know about the difficult time Libya is passing through due to the Daniel storm, and it is a critical situation, especially in Derna, Baida and Shahat. There are reports of many who are lost, as well as those who lost their lives.
There are reports that thousands of people may be dead because of the flash floods. Is it correct?
Yes, now I think
it's a correct report. There is a possibility that around 10,000 people are missing and about 7,000 people have lost their lives.
What are you expecting from the world in terms of aid? What is the help that you need? What are the things that you need?
We look forward to India's support also. If it can send rescue teams and equipment, the help would be hugely appreciated.
What are the priority requirements? Do you need medicine, food, in terms of all that?
The Libyan government has already started efforts for rescue and relief for victims and missing people. Libya doesn't need medicine right now. What it needs are rescue teams and earth-moving equipments to rescue the trapped people.
That's it from me here in London. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, John. John Beaver joining me from our London bureau. You're watching DD India Global, still to come on the show. Singapore gets a new Indian origin president in Tharman Shanmugaratnam. And Elon Musk warns of civilizational risk posed by artificial intelligence at a historic gathering of tech giant chiefs.
India's G20 presidency presents a roadmap for inclusive, sustainable and accelerated development. Let's talk about the key achievements.
Big congratulations and thanks to the Honorable Prime Minister, because I think what has been achieved in this G20 is something which is unprecedented.
How satisfied are you with what has been reflected in the final declaration?
First and foremost is on the sustainability, financing for sustainable growth. Second is in terms of making sure we have the MSMEs included. And equally important is to make sure that, as I said, the Global South aspirations are covered from an industry perspective as well.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Global. I'm Tanvi Taneja. Let's go to Asian region now. Russia has joined China in expressing concerns over the impact of the discharge of Fukushima plant on the environment and human health. Russia expressed concern over Japan's discharge of treated radioactive water from the wrecked Fukushima nuclear power plant into the Pacific Ocean and called on Tokyo to provide detailed information about the process. Russia blamed over lack of transparency and openness from Japan over the issue, which has also drawn criticism from many countries and environmental groups. Now, DD India correspondent Chris Gilbert reports from Tokyo.
Japan to consult with its international neighbors. It wants Japan to provide science-based information and details on the discharge and, frankly, involve Russia in the process more. Interestingly enough, these are complaints which precisely mimic those made by China over the wastewater discharge. China having gone a step further, however, saying that Japan is acting irresponsibly, illegally, and unilaterally. Both countries did want Japan to, instead of pursuing a discharge of the water, instead vaporize it and release it into the atmosphere, saying that that would have, not as harmful of an impact on the environment. Obviously, that did not happen. The discharge was the conclusion that the authorities came to, believing that, it was easier to control the effects of it. Questions do remain about how it is easier to control water in water any more than it is to control vapor in air. But that is the conclusion that they reached. Experts have said that China, for example, may be using the discharge as a proxy issue to vent its frustrations at Tokyo. Russia may very well be doing the same. Tokyo has extended an olive branch of sorts to Beijing to invite it to participate in the corroborating of tests of the sample water of Fukushima. It remains to be seen what Tokyo is going to do in response to these complaints from Russia. Well, the Chief Cabinet Secretary Matsuno is due to give his afternoon briefing in the next couple of hours, so it'll be interesting to see if he has any comment on the matter. The media here has been very focused on the cabinet reshuffle, and there has been no real waves caused by this here. One could imagine it may be very tiring to receive these complaints for the Japanese government, considering that they are complaints that Japan is not doing precisely the thing that the Japanese government is actually doing, which is an extended campaign of explanation led by the Prime Minister about actively sharing the results of the IAEA findings, the International Atomic Energy Agency, which rubber-stamped the discharge, the science behind the discharge, getting independent laboratories around the world and in different countries to corroborate the testing of the water and of the impact of marine life. These are things that the government is doing, and in fact that Fumio Kishida, the Prime Minister, has been promoting with his, his counterparts in Australia, the Pacific Island Forum, South Korea, last week at ASEAN, at the weekend at the G20. He has been actively doing this. And you get the impression if you bumped into the Prime Minister on the street and said, "Hey, how's it going?" he would say, "Have I told you about the safety of my water discharge?" That is the ferocity with which this is happening. Japan has also already responded to complaints by Russia. This is not new. 6 days before the discharge started last month, Japan released a hefty document replying on the why that option was chosen, the precedents for the discharge, the reliability of the system, the monitoring of the results, the environmental monitoring, and the international outreach, amongst other reasons.
Right.
It is yet to be seen if Japan is going to add to that list with any further response to these most recent complaints.
Indian origin economist Tharman Shanmugaratnam has been sworn in as the 9th president of Singapore. He took office on Thursday after he won the presidential elections with more than 70% of the votes. Our correspondent Patrick Falk reports from Singapore.
Well, the presidency's role in Singapore is a ceremonial role, but it has critical implications for the ruling PAP. It is currently undergoing succession plans that could come as early as next year. Those have been threatened by recent scandals that have rocked the political establishment in Singapore. And Tharman Shanmugaratnam is a PAP man. He stepped down in July. He's a popular figure, known for his intelligence and political savvy, and he was also a long-time member of Prime Minister Lee Hsien Bandung's cabinet. So this will give the PAP a lot of comfort, knowing that the President's office will be working hand in hand with the future Prime Minister's office. Had Tharman lost out on the presidency to, for example, the opposition-backed former insurance company head Tan Kin Lian, that would have been problematic because the president does still have veto power in some areas. The president is the gatekeeper for Singapore's finances, and the government needs the president's office's approval to tap funds. So with this now out of the way, as I say, the PAP will feel a lot more comfortable, and it very much puts these succession plans back on track.
Tesla CEO Elon Musk has warned of a civilizational risk posed by artificial intelligence during his meetings with technology companies' bosses and US senators. The closed-door meeting on Capitol Hill is part of a series of hearings lawmakers are holding this week to work out how to set safeguards for AI. DD India's Kate Fisher has more from Washington.
Along with Elon Musk, one of the world's richest men, the meeting brought together the likes of Meta's Mark Zuckerberg, Google's Sundar Pichai and Microsoft's Bill Gates. Lawmakers are grappling with how to manage emerging AI technology and guard against the potential dangers of things like bogus videos, election interference and attacks on critical infrastructure. The successful release of OpenAI's ChatGPT chatbots boosted investment in artificial intelligence and its popularity with consumers. The company's CEO, Sam Altman, told reporters that this is a, quote, important, urgent and in some ways unprecedented moment. Well, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, who hosted the forum, described legislating on artificial intelligence as one of the most complex and important subjects that Congress has ever faced. He said that everyone in the room agreed that there needs to be government regulation of AI, suggesting it wouldn't be done within weeks, but making it clear that it must not take years. There was criticism from some lawmakers that the forum wasn't open to the public and that senators couldn't ask questions directly to the CEOs. But AI is at the centre of Washington politics this week, with Congress holding 3 separate hearings. On Thursday, a House Oversight Subcommittee will look at potential risks in federal agency adoption of AI, along with the adequacy of safeguards to protect individual privacy and ensure fair treatment. Kate Fisher in Washington, reporting for DD India.
On to some sporting action now. Updates from the Asia Cup. Rain delayed the Pakistan versus Sri Lanka encounter in a do-or-die Super 4 match at the R. Premadasa Stadium in Colombo. But Pakistan has won the toss and opted to bat first. Now, if rain spoils the match, Sri Lanka will progress into the final on the basis of superior net run rate. The winner will face India on Sunday. When reports last came in, Pakistan had scored 4 runs for the loss of no wicket. That's all in this edition of DD India Global. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly Twitter, and Instagram at DD India Live. We will be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja. From all of us here in New Delhi, thanks for watching. Namaskar.